All right, so everybody who's joined us right now on the garden stage, in just a couple of minutes, we're going to get started with the Open Source Awards.
All right.
This is good. This is going to be fun.
Super fun.
We're going to be giving out awards to projects and various, and actually as also voted on by the audience. So this is really exciting.
Looking forward to it for sure. Yeah.
Have you ever hosted an award show before?
I mean, little silly ones in kind of internal, but like nothing like this. So I'm pretty excited. I'm sure you've done you could do these in your sleep, right?
Well, mostly just like you, it's little internal things. But I mean,
Yeah.
It has always been my dream to host the Emmys or something. But
Oh, I mean, surely you already have a dress picked out, right?
oh yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, if I was hosting something like that, it'd be 5 dresses.
Oh, of course.
Because you'd have to do different costume changes each
Yes.
time. Yeah, that would be.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, we do not have the capabilities to do costume changes here, but we will be having a great time.
We will.
All right, let's kick things off now. We're going to talk about, again, as I said, the Open Source Awards. So we've talked a lot about this for the last 2 days, last 48 hours, that the open source software is at the heart of so much of software development, and so much of what happens in the world today is built in open source. I think it's something like 90% of software that's built now is in some way attached to open source, which is fantastic. We love to see that.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that even 10 years ago, having a figure that high?
Right.
Right?
Amazing.
It's great.
Yeah.
And developers from around the world are building new projects, they're contributing to others, and they're helping grow that open source community and that open source ecosystem.
And today we're helping to showcase and recognize some of the open source projects that have made a great impact on our community. And the GitHub Open Source Awards are meant to do that. It's meant to really recognize the people who are often the unseen heroes going behind the scenes, keeping systems running, often at great expense to themselves, but we want to make sure that they get recognized for their work. And these awards were curated and selected by GitHub.
Yeah, I love this. So we put a lot of thought into this, and we took some inspiration from our GitHub Stars Awards, and so the Open Source Awards are also physical. You can check this out. This is a very beautiful
Look at that.
I know, right?
It's amazing.
It looks great. It's
And there's some heft to it,
It
too,
is some
right?
heft to it. So this is actually going to be mailed to maintainers and people behind the projects from all the winners. They will be getting this in the mail.
That's right.
We wish that they could have been here in person.
Yeah.
But we will be making sure that they get their wonderful Universe trophy.
All right, should we get into it?
All right, so let's get into it. So the first category, this is the Speed Stargazer category. So this is for projects that have grown a significant number of Stargazers in the past year. Now I'm going to ask you a question.
Sure.
How many GitHub stars do you have?
Oh, I don't even know anymore. Yeah, I've lost count. How about you?
It's like 2,000 something?
I think so.
No,
Yeah.
for me, I know it is.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I'm really, really into GitHub stars.
Yes.
I star like a mofo.
Yeah.
Also, I'm going to say this. You should follow me on GitHub.
Uh-huh.
Not for my code commits, because that, honestly, no. But the reason you follow me is because my stars
Yes.
are the best.
Yes.
I find the best of. In fact, many of the projects and the things that we're celebrating here,
Right.
they've been in my stars for a long time.
Yeah,
I find the best
absolutely.
things. So
Yeah.
follow me, Film Girl, on GitHub to find my stars. But
Sure.
this category is Speed Stargazer. So these are projects that have grown a significant number of Stargazers in the last year.
Yeah.
The first award goes to Supabase.
Supabase.
So Supabase is an open source alternative to Firebase. It's a great project. I actually know a number of members of their team.
Nice.
It adds over 40,000 Stargazers, which is amazing. There are over 500 contributors to the project,
Right.
which shows that it's not just people starting it and using it, but they're actually taking contributors from outside people too, which is really, really incredible.
Right.
It's currently in a public beta, but it's growing really fast. The majority of it is actually built using TypeScript. But what's really interesting, this is actually something that I played with and talked about on the download
Right.
a few weeks ago. Along with Snaplet, Supabase created a WASM that is a WebAssembly implementation of Postgres.
Nice.
So that you could use that actually in WebAssembly in your browser and interact with a Postgres server that is basically kind of attached. I mean, look, it's not the most memory efficient thing because you've got 50 megabytes in your web browser, but it is the fact that you could do that sort of thing for local development
Super cool.
is really great. And they made it, and the reason they did it, they worked with Snaplet to do it, was because
Right.
they wanted it to be open source.
Yes.
And there have been some other people who did some similar implementations, but Supabase made theirs open source. So congrats to Supabase on being a Speed Stargazer. The second one we're going to be giving out in this category is from Hugging Face, their Transformers project. So if you're not familiar with Hugging Face and the Transformers, Hugging Face is a great community for AI and ML models, but also a way to kind of test and run your code. So it's honestly for people who are doing or even wanting to dabble into the AI and machine learning space.
That's right.
Hugging Face is a great community. With Transformers, they have thousands of pre-trained machine learning models that can perform tasks on different modalities like text or vision or audio. And the way that you can link them together, it's kind of like Lego bricks. So you can say, okay, I'm going to take this piece of this model, this with this, and I want it to accomplish something.
Right.
And you can really easily build out kind of like a minimal viable product. There's over 73,000 Stargazers for the Transformers project. It's used within 37,000 repos, which is amazing. There are 1.5 thousand plus contributors. Most of this is written in Python because it is in the AI and the machine learning workflow. But the models can also be used for JAX and PyTorch and TensorFlow, any of the various AI frameworks out there. So congrats to the team at Hugging Face for their Transformers project. This is really, really great stuff and great growth that they've had and lots and lots of stars on this.
Yeah, I like how you called out that they operate like Lego bricks, because when we talked with Zeke, he talked about the power of abstracting away the complexity and letting people really get into the work of solving cool problems. And I love solutions that do that. I think we can all geek out on how complicated you can make things, but I think that we really do more by making things simpler, because by making things simpler, you really get to those creative solutions that we really need all across the world. All right, the next category is wonderfully welcoming. And this is really a shout out to people and projects that have been the most welcoming and have seen an increased number of contributors in the past year. And I just want to pause and say that, I'm in the community section of GitHub. So we're all about community. We're all about being welcome, being a welcoming place. You heard Stormy, who is over our group. And she is very much a walking symbol of how welcoming we try to be. And I think that every project on GitHub, no matter what you're doing, you can always learn to be welcoming, because you never know who that person out there who has the solution to your problems, right? But if you're not welcoming, then they're avoiding you, because who wants to do creative, fun stuff in a very mean place, right? So why not be welcoming? Like, one of the lowest cost things that you can do is invest in a welcoming environment for your projects, And
I'm actually going to call out somebody who is in the audience right now, Miss Helen, who's Sandy.
Hey,
because Helen, who's awesome,
is
a core contributor to the WordPress project. And Helen has also been like a project lead, like a release lead for WordPress. She's done so much stuff with them over the years. And the reason I want to call her out is because that's a project that can be notoriously kind of hard sometimes to get into. She's always been so welcoming and is a great representation of that. So Helen, I see you out there. I see you. I appreciate you. Just want to give you a little shout out. Love you.
If you can tell Automatic to accept my WordPress plugin, I've been trying for the past 3 months. So, if you can just give me a little bit of help there. All right, so the winner of our Wonderfully Welcoming Award is Kubernetes.
Woohoo!
Now, if you're watching this, you know what Kubernetes is. It is a way to manage containerized apps. There are over 93,000 stars on the Kubernetes repo. There's a huge number of contributors across the different repos in the Kubernetes project, and the website itself has about 4.2 thousand contributors. And the language of Kubernetes is Go, a language that we actually use in some parts of GitHub, and it's used at GitHub as well. So Kubernetes, congratulations to winning this award. Absolutely,
and Kubernetes, I think, is a really great project, and one of the reasons it's probably welcoming, it was started at Google. And it was something that Google then donated to
I forget the foundation.
Like the CFCL, like the container something.
Right.
It starts with a C. Anyway, they donated CFCL, I think it is.
Okay.
But they donated it to the trademark and everything, basically to make it open source, because it started out as Google. I think it was similar to kind of one of their internal systems, Borg.
Right.
But it's been used by so many other organizations, right? And you look at this with the number of contributors, right? Over 4,500 contributors, and every major player even some of Google's competitors
Yeah.
all use Kubernetes and contribute to it. And I think
Absolutely.
that's like a sign of how like welcoming it is
Exactly.
and what it can do and how important that is, because you can make something a standard by making sure that even people who compete with you on some levels still want to use and make the ecosystem better. So it's really good stuff.
And speaking of welcoming, shout out to Kelsey Hightower, who is an advocate for Kubernetes, who is also like a walking embodiment of being welcoming and kind. So thank you, Kelsey.
Yes, absolutely, Kelsey. All right, next we want to talk about the Noteworthy Newcomer. So this is a project that was open sourced in the past year and has grown significantly ever since then. So I love this category. And the winner of this one is AppFlowy. And AppFlowy is an open source alternative to Notion. And so if you've ever used Notion, it's a really great text editor that lets you do more than just kind of text editing. It's kind of like a notebook to have in your thoughts, but it's also, you can make it pretty and you can add in, a lot of different types of formats. But it also provides control over data and customization. So AppFlowy is a great project. It was launched in November of 2021, so just a year ago.
Yeah, wow.
It already has over 28,000 stars on GitHub, which is great.
Yeah.
And it's built majorly with like Flutter and Rust. But yeah, for something like this to kind of take on is really, really impressive. Just how much it's grown in the last year. I like this because it's taking over. It's taking on things that are similar to maybe other things that are out on the market, but we're realizing, hey, Notion's great, but we want something to be open source.
Yes.
So let's create it because maybe I want to control my own data.
Exactly.
And I love the spirit behind that. So that is fantastic. So congratulations to AppFlowy for their Noteworthy Newcomer award.
And I'm sure that some people may think, why do we open source projects that are successful copies of things that are in the market? But I don't think that that's the idea here. I think that it's taking an idea that people surely have a need for, which is better ways to organize their thoughts and to organize their notes, and saying that, hey, if you want if one that's open and that you have more control over, that you want to have more information kept private, then there's an alternative to that. And I think that actually expands the solution.
I agree.
And it makes it even better for people like Notion, who are one of the kind of biggest movers in this market.
No, 100%. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, look, not everybody is going to want to control their own data and do a self-hosted thing. But I think that it's really great when people can show that you can build something viable that's open source. And maybe add some other ideas. So great job for them.
For sure. All right, the next category that we have for the awards is the Global Grandiose. And these are the projects that have contributors from the most parts of the world, right? These are the projects where there are people all over the planet contributing to its success. And the awardee is Laravel. Now, Laravel is a framework that is really popular. Well, it's built for PHP.
Yep.
And at a previous company, we had an application that had React in the front end. We had PHP in the back end. And so PHP was our back-end language of choice. That's what we use. And Laravel is what we began to go over to make our system a little bit more easier to scale, a little bit more easier to kind of have new people come in to expand upon. And so we really benefited from our moves to Laravel. And so, yes, it is a web application framework for PHP. There are 1.3 million repos that use it. And there are 28,000 Stargazers currently on Laravel. And we have close to 3,000 contributions from 100 countries to this framework. Wow, that is a very widespread project.
Yeah, and I think Laravel is such an interesting project because for a lot of reasons. I mean, I wouldn't say it is like the de facto PHP framework because some people can use PHP, but it is pretty much right. Like it, and Laravel is great. It has a lot of tools, even like if you're not using Laravel, like Laravel Valet, in terms of doing some if you're wanting to do some self-hosting website testing stuff, it's really useful. Yeah. And just the fact that it has so many contributors from so many parts of the world, I think shows why it is basically kind of like if you're going to be building a PHP app, you're probably going to be using Laravel.
Probably, right? PHP is one of those languages that have been around for a long time.
Absolutely.
Runs a lot of the glue of the internet. So I really am happy that we have a robust framework for building code.
Same. I love it. All right, our next category is in the top trusted category. So this is for a project that is trusted and depended on by many other projects. I'm going to go ahead and say that if, the winner of this is something that if you depend on it, you should consider donating, making sure that they're supported, making sure that their maintainers are supported. So if your company can contribute time or money or labor, do that, because this is definitely something we need to help going on.
Agreed.
So the winner of this one is Ruby Internationalization, or I18N. And this is the internationalization library for Ruby. It is used by 3.4 million plus other projects.
Right.
We use Ruby and we use Rails at GitHub. I'm sure that we use this.
Yeah.
It's a great way to internationalize your project to make sure that it can be useful in other locales.
That's right.
And in other areas. It was written in and for Ruby. This is kind of a core, building block that if you want to make something that is going to be useful and more than just your native tongue, and frankly, I think that for a lot of people, you should, because it is a global world. Ruby internationalization is going to be something you're going to use if you're writing Ruby. 3.4 million other projects. That's massive. So congrats to this team, and thank you for the hard work. And honestly, if this is something that the team that is maintaining this, make sure that if you are relying on this, that you are supporting them if you can.
For sure. I think that helping your project be used in different locations, helping it be open to the international audience is inclusion work, right? You're making sure that you're allowing as many people as possible to come into your project and to help make it better. And so I'm really happy that this project exists and that all the projects that work in this space helping to make software something that everyone can come into and contribute to.
Absolutely. And a shout out, I just looked it up. It's maintained by, it looks like, one person.
Look at that.
And so, Ryan or Radar from Ruby Internationalization, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Our next category is the awesome action category.
I love this.
And these are the projects that utilize GitHub Actions or help to extend it to make automation easier. And we have 2 awards in this category. There is Peter Evans' Create Pull Request, which makes it really easy to create a PR for changes in your repo. And as something where, again, we have talked about how GitHub uses GitHub to build GitHub. We use GitHub for everything at GitHub, right? So I am the engineering manager for GitHub sponsors. So we have a sponsors repo that we have the code for sponsors, but we also have discussions about sponsors that our team uses to solve different challenges with what we're trying to solve. We have also our issues in our repo. And so having the ability to have everything in your repo, but not only that, but to have actions. So we have actions that are designed to help our team that when we create an issue, it gets automatically assigned to the right person, or we have it automatically assigned to the right label to make that be less of a manual process. So it helps us do things faster. It helps us make decisions faster. So I love actions, and so it's really cool that people are investing in this. So create pull request is used by 70,000 repos and is written in TypeScript. The second award is SoftProp's Actions GitHub's release, which is an action for creating a release on GitHub. Now,
love this.
I want to tell you that just automating this is so amazing because we exist in software to release software to an audience. So doing things that makes that easier, more automated, less prone to errors, is helping your software get to the people who need it most. And it is used by 73,000 repos, and it is also written in TypeScript. I'm loving seeing so much TypeScript represented in these awards.
No, I am too. And both of these actions are things that we definitely use and a lot of projects depend on. I love GitHub Actions. If you haven't played with it, there are lots of awesome actions. I think there's even an awesome actions list or repo. But these are 2 great ones, and it's really great to see this.
Speaking of GitHub Actions, so my personal website, m1simmons.com, is a Jekyll website that's hosted on GitHub, right? Based on GitHub pages. And so whenever I write blog posts and then submit them, Actions
kicks off an action to go ahead and do the build.
Exactly. So actions are the way that I get my thoughts to the world, right? So big fan of actions. Happy that we have made it such a powerful tool for deploying code.
I totally agree. I totally agree. All right, and now it is time for our final category, and this is the Audience Choice Award. So this is the Audience Choice Award for open source projects based on your votes. This was chosen based on voting that happened during GitHub Universe. There were a lot of great submissions, but the winner is Home Assistant.
All right.
Home Assistant. So Home Assistant, if you're not familiar with it, I really love Home Assistant. So let me ask you this, Anwan. Do you have do you deal with like any of the smart home IoT, Internet of Things?
I have so many things. I have an Ecobee thermostat that has Alexa built in. I have several, I have a Google Nest Hub.
Yep.
I have, let's see, I don't have anything from Apple at this minute, but I have so many Google devices that are scattered around my home that I'm sure are recording everything that I say, but I am sure that they're very securely stored somewhere. But like I can open my garage, I can turn on the garbage disposal. In fact, my wife called me this morning and said, can you turn off the air conditioning? I'm like, sure. I'm in San Francisco, but like I'll do that all from my phone. So I have heavily invested in home automation in my home. How about you? I'm sure you have everything, right?
Yeah. Okay, so you should. I ironically don't have a massive number of home IoT devices.
Okay.
But I do actually have a Home Assistant server. So how Home Assistant works, it's an open source automation platform, but the nice thing about it is it puts you in control.
Yeah.
It's privacy first.
Sure.
It's powered by like a huge network of tinkerers in the community, DIY enthusiasts that work basically with like making sure that things will work with your system, whether the manufacturer wants it to work with it.
Yeah.
So this is what's cool about Home Assistant. So you're kind of in the Google
I am in the
ecosystem.
Yes.
But then there's the Amazon ecosystem.
Yes.
And then there's the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah.
Now, they just launched Matter, which is supposed to solve everyone's problems.
Well, yeah.
But we've been hearing about this for years, and it's not going to solve everyone's problems.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what does solve everyone's problems?
Yeah?
Home Assistant.
Home Assistant.
So you can run it on your on a local server, a local computer. You can even run it on a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
And it'll manage all those connections so that if you have, like something that is, one thing is powered by Alexa, one thing is powered by, HomeKit, one thing that is powered by Google, one thing that is powered by something else.
Yeah.
They can all talk to each other and integrate with one another.
Super cool.
It's open source. There are even ways where you can update the firmware on your devices using Home Assistant rather than having to go through the manufacturer's website.
Exactly.
It is really, really fantastic. I'm a huge fan of what they do.
Yeah.
This project is on GitHub. They actually just released a really big release for November 2022 that adds a bunch of support for other things.
Yeah.
And so Home Assistant, this was the Audience Choice Award. I could not agree with it. I think this is fantastic.
It is fantastic.
Huge, huge fan.
Right.
So congrats to Home Assistant. This is going to close out our awards for right now, but congratulations to all the winners.
Yes, congratulations.
And for everybody who is here at the YPCA, coming up at 2 o'clock over at the demo stage, at the Demo Donut stage, go check out the team from Wix and their session, The Tipping Point of Web Development. So grab a donut, see some great demos, 2 o'clock at the Demo and Donut stage. Wix is going to have a great session, The Tipping Point of Web Development. That's just like 6 minutes from now.
Look at that.
All right, thank you all so much, and have a great rest of your afternoon. And we're going to see you back here in a couple hours.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, see you all later.